Welcome to City on a Hill Gaming, a tabletop RPG actual play podcast. To find out more, download episodes wherever you get podcasts, or visit us online at cityonahillgaming.com, or by sending us an email at cityonahillgaming@gmail.com. You can also support us on patreon.com/cityonahillgaming. We hope you enjoy our show. Welcome back to City on a Hill Gaming. I am your Ryan. Hello. I am joined by your Greg.
Yo.
Your Peter.
Hello.
And your Grant.
Hey.
And your Grant is in charge because it's Wanderhome time.
Oh no. Shoot. I gotta do things.
Right. Time for things.
Right. Okay, so welcome back to Wanderhome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to have everybody here. We're down to Daniel, but that is okay. Wanderhome is actually pretty flexible as far as people coming and going. It's not a problem. So that's exciting.
Can we reintroduce characters at the start of each session?
I think that is an excellent idea.
I think, especially since this is a little bit of a different system.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm just going to work top to bottom on my Zoom window here, Greg.
Yes.
Get your mouth full. Go ahead.
I am the ragamuffin Pebble Splittail. I am a precocious little penguin child who is probably the most depressing character ever written for City on a Hill.
That's okay.
Facts.
I haven't written a character in a while, that's why. Ryan, you're up.
Challenge accepted, I guess. I am playing Bria Splittail. She is a firelight, and I guess apparently Pebble's mother. And she also has a pet firefly, whose name is Flit.
All right. And Peter?
I'm playing a peddler named Archibald, who is a walrus.
All right. Very cool. So, when we last left off, we had our group of travelers had left Berryford. Along the way, Marion had to go a different route. He's got his own pilgrimage that he's following. But the three of you are continuing on south from Berryford. Now, first question we need to ask, do we want to tick our month forward here?
What happens when we do that?
We just ask a couple of interesting questions, and the weather and environment just sort of changes.
For the sake of showing off the system, sure. Tick a calendar. Time change at time of recording anyway.
Oh, don't remind me.
Yeah. No.
All right, so it's no longer the month of till soil. We're still in Leap, which is a spring-like season. Bear in mind, Wanderhome's setting has 5 seasons. But we've moved from Leap into Monsoon, and I bet you can guess what Monsoon is like.
I'd like to go back to till soil.
Too late. I've clicked
Large amounts of precipitation. Yep, here we go. All right.
I was going to ask if it was a really awesome battle bot.
Sadly, no.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, it loses a lot.
It's depressing, really. Great rains come, bring water to the heath. So let me ask, there's a couple things that happen here. You're going to a place, obviously, and I'm going to invite you to pick one of the things that this place lacks. The others will all be present. Torrential rain, brief moments of clear skies, beautifully green plant life, or brooding clouds. One of those is not going to be present.
No brooding clouds, I guess?
Any objections from anybody?
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
All right, cool. No brooding clouds.
Like a brooding cloud, but I'll go along.
All right. Well, then in that case, let's talk about signs of the month. For those of you looking in your character keeper, if you scroll all the way down to Monsoon, you can follow along, or it's page 194 of the book for those who have that. So there are a few signs that we're going to find in this place that are specific to this month. And obviously we're going to talk about the place in just a moment, but it's fun to do the signs first, I think, or we're going to try it this way. Dancing in the rain, heavy quilt blankets, lots of tea, the clean smell of soil after the rain, jumping in giant puddles, enveloping mists, overflowing rivers, distinctive rain jackets, bored kids, a great sacrifice for the north wind spirit, a dreary state of mind, or something else of your own invention. We're just going to pick like 3 or 4 of these. So if we want to start with like one each, sounds
heavy quilt
good.
blankets is good for me.
Heavy quilt blankets. All righty. Greg, you got one? Ryan?
Can it be lots of coffee instead of lots of tea?
Sure. We can do coffee.
Bria's nocturnal, so I feel like coffee makes more sense.
Well, tea's very caffeinated. So.
Oh, okay. Then leave it tea.
Tea and coffee have the same amount of caffeine.
Ryan drinks neither, unfortunately. Ryan drinks soda instead.
Green tea has the same amount of caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
Tea it is, then.
And then soda will vary upon which soda it is you're drinking.
This is true.
For instance, only one root beer even has caffeine.
Yes. But
Arcs.
at any rate, we're going to focus.
Yes,
So-
and I'm going with Dancing in the Rain.
Excellent. Dancing in the rain. I like it. I think 3 is enough with 3 people. Now, here's the next question. Well, you know what? I'm going to come back to this last question here. Let's talk about our second place. So I went ahead and pre-rolled just to save a little bit of time. And the 3 natures that we're dealing with are a farm, a ruin, and a tower. Farm, place where people live unremarkable lives, deeply rooted in the turning of the seasons and the work that must be done. A ruin, a once gleaming place that's fallen into disrepair and collapse. And a tower, a place that reaches so high up into the sky it feels like it scrapes against the clouds. There are a few things that can happen in a farm. This place can always describe the calm mundanity of everyday life, reveal the thin margins people live on, and ask, hey, want to help out? Give them a token if they pitch in whatever way they can. The ruin, describe what used to be here, and show consequences for the actions of the past. And it can always ask, do you know what once mattered here? And I give you a token if you don't. And as for the tower, you can this place can always describe something very small and far away, spread concern around structural stability, and it can always make someone dizzy or disoriented, and give them a token. Let's just kind of pick an aesthetic element or 2 here. Just throw those out real quick. We can either pick ones for the book, or we can just, talk about and just decide what a farm and a ruin and a tower all bring together into one place. And they don't have to be the same thing, right? But these are all elements of this place that we're building.
I have something for the ruin.
Shoot.
I actually had something too, but go
All
ahead.
right. Well, Ryan, you first.
I want to do something, and I guess I need you to read the ruin to me one more time, but I want to do something based around the rebellion.
Okay. That sounds good. The ruin, it's a once gleaming place fallen into disrepair and collapse.
I'm going to say it used to be an outpost of the rebellion.
Okay. We'll come. Don't tell us what it is.
Oh, okay.
Tell us what it looks like.
Okay.
Give me an aesthetic element. You can absolutely pull that in when you talk about it, right?
Right.
But let's just talk about
Okay.
the feeling we get as we arrive in this new place.
It's a lot of mossy, overgrown stone that used to be something much larger. It's strewn out from collapse.
Okay. And Peter?
Well, I was going to go for something entirely different, so I'll save that for a future thing and say that because it's raining and because it's covered in vegetation, it has sprouted flowering vine.
Flowering vines, especially in the rain. Very good. Okay. And we have a farm or multiple farms. Remember, when we talk about farm, we don't necessarily just mean a single farm, although it could certainly be that too. It might be a couple of farmers together. It might be something that makes you sort of draw from the idea of a farm. And the same is true of a tower, right? We want height and dizziness and that sort of thing, visibility, structural insecurity.
Can it be an observatory? And we have the whole telescope and things up there, maybe some signage about, come see the stars or something like that.
Okay.
You get?
Yeah.
I was originally going to make the ruin a laboratory, but I think making the tower an observatory does most of it.
Well, again, we're talking about aesthetic elements. So
yeah. So I'm thinking okay, because it's so tall and because there's an observatory on here, maybe the lower, how you've got those kind of heavier stones that get used decoratively around the exterior of a stone building.
Yeah.
Let's say a bunch of those have been carved out, really smoothed down. So they're almost glass or smoothed marble.
Mm-hmm.
And then etched into those are star charts for the various seasons.
Okay. Star charts etched into polished stone slabs. Got it. All righty. Yep.
Every once in a, because it's outdoors, even though the stone is hard, the paint that's put into the star charts to give them some contrast gets washed out this time of year by the heavy rains and has to be put back in once the season is over.
All right. Washed out paint.
Yeah.
All right. I like that. And for the farm, I'm going to throw out, just to throw something in myself, the aesthetic is muddy well, no, not money. Sorry, working towards a concept here. Didn't have it fully formed. I apologize. A bustle despite the conditions. It's busy.
Okay. Dig it.
Anybody want to throw out another aesthetic for the farm?
Just a little detail. Because it's busy and because it's raining all the time, everybody's got umbrellas. And the kind of like the most popular local design, although of course there's variants, is painted in flowers that match the flowering vines on the ruins.
Painted floral umbrellas. I like it. Okay. Folklore. I'm just gonna throw out one. I'm just gonna pick one off the list for the ruin because that's fun and I have it pulled up. Well, no, actually, I don't like any of those. So you know what? I'm gonna skip just to save time because we're already a few minutes in. I'm gonna suggest we skip the folklore. We cool with that?
Sure.
Go for it.
All right, cool. So we've got this place. Now, we do need to give it a name. I know that's the tough part. Last time we went with Berryford. Again, we're sort of sticking with simple things here. Any thoughts?
Cloudreach?
I like Cloudreach. Anybody have an objection?
I was thinking something with stars, but that works.
All right, we are in Cloudreach. Now, can I get each of you to tell me a common type of animal folk that we have here?
Batfolk.
Okay.
Shrews.
Shrews.
They can't be tamed, but they will do that farm work.
I'm also thinking, just real quick to interject while Ryan is thinking, the Batfolk are kind of like the cute little fruit bats. There's a bunch of them. They kind of, they get kind of sleepy in the daytime, but they do still sometimes do stuff. So you've got a bunch of these kind of.
Let's save those details. We're
little
talking about just
Batfolk.
like NPC types by and large. Again, save this stuff for when we're role playing. It's great. Owls. Okay. I like it. And Greg, tell us what kind of form the forgotten spirits of this place take.
Let's go with dung beetle.
Beetles. Ooh, interesting. It would help if I could spell beetle. Cool. All right. So we've got spirits that show up as dung beetles and perhaps other beetle types. Very, very cool. All right. Our final question, jumping back to Monsoon. Are you seeking shelter from the rain? Or are you planning to plot on through the storm? And
I think Archibald is selling the shelter. Like he's got umbrellas and blankets and stuff like that.
Is that a yes or a no?
I think at that point it makes it a yes on some level because we're going to be here for a little bit at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's actually a yes/no checkbox, and there's a thing that happens as we go around the seasonal calendar. Once it's filled up, instead of monsoon, we get the Great Flood, and that's true of every month. There's a little so the first time through, you're guaranteed to kind of have the normal month, right? But then as you kind of go, just to mix it up a little bit in a long campaign, you get kind of a variation of that month, which is fun. Anyway, Greg, Ryan, are you here, yay or nay? Seeking shelter or no?
I assume seeking shelter since presumably I'm leading the caravan or whatever.
Okay. And Greg?
I follow Bria, so yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. It's just more for like what your actions are and what you're thinking of as you approach Cloudreach here. You know, what's your mindset? Oh, I need a place to stay, or oh, I'm just going to stop in real quick and then move on. All right, so this is Cloudreach. Peter, I know you had some description that you had in your head. What's the approach to Cloudreach been like, and what do you see when that approach opens up and you spot Cloudreach for the first time?
So, unlike what you would think, Cloudreach is actually down in a valley, and the tower is kind of the tall thing around here, but it starts lower than the surrounding terrain. So as you're kind of coming down into this valley, you get this big panoramic view of this whole area. You can see like the flowering vines on the ruins, blooming away, and the ample rain over kind of on one side, and then kind of towards the other, you see the tower, and then farms just kind of strewn across the whole area in between them. You get kind of like this panorama with the tower on one side and the ruins on the other, and then everyday life in between, kind of marking, I suppose, the extremes of existence in this place. That's kind of striking. Because it's raining most of the time, you see a lot of people like milling around in the fields with their floral umbrellas, and you get kind of like the effect of like the flowers off the ruins almost like spreading through the rest of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And because you've got owls and bat folk, you'll regularly see somebody like getting around by flying instead of walking. So every once in a while, somebody kind of glides down from the tower or like takes off and flies over to a different farm, and nobody really kind of bats an eye at it.
Nice. I
Ah,
like that. Um,
I like
you
fun.
said this is nestled into a valley. How wide
Yeah.
is this valley? Is it broad with lots of farmland, or is it fairly narrow and the farms are going up the sides of the mountains that are here?
It's pretty broad, but the arable soil does continue up the side of the slope.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Is there a river that cuts through here since you have a valley?
Yes, but it only has water during monsoon.
Okay.
Ooh. So it just
Interesting.
dries out the rest of the time. Okay, I like that.
You are a trio of travelers, at least. And are there folks you're traveling with? Or are the three of you sort of on the road together as a sort of unit at this point?
I think at this time of year, because you'll have roads washed out due to flooding and that sort of a thing, even if you don't set out to travel with other people, you will kind of bunch up as delays kind of happen and then relax in the traveling. So like multiple groups kind of are close together on the road, even if they're not specifically traveling together, and will occasionally interact.
Okay.
Like it's
Very
not even
cool.
all the way to a caravan, but it's kind of it's a caravan
It's
by
just kind of a
it's like by
caravan.
proximity. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. Here's the other question for you. So we're talking about Cloudreach as a place like a whole valley almost, or at least in a valley. Are there more than one farm here?
I would assume it's
I'm
a
thinking there's
series.
got to be at least 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's
Felt
what
like
I
a
wanted to be sure of.
Couple different crops, probably.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
you've
I
got the
mean,
grain down on this side and the vineyards up on the slopes at the very
Right.
least.
yeah. Okay. And where is the ruin in relation to the tower and the farms?
So I originally had like the tower on the western side, the ruin on the eastern side, and the farms in the middle. But if somebody wants to change that, I'm good.
That's fine.
Yeah, and monsoon is when it's impassable to reach both sides. So otherwise, you could just walk across.
So there's not much in the way of bridges between the two.
When you only need it 1 month out of the year.
True.
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 Probably a lot of boats.
Unfortunate for the shrews and other folk who don't have wings, but I assume people make do in some way. So you're approaching Cloudreach. What's your plan? What are you doing? What's your feeling as you see it? Take the lead, have fun, enjoy.
Oh, thank goodness, a dry place to be for a while. It has been raining for 14 days straight, and I am done.
Yeah. I mean, there's been the occasional break, but it's so bad. It's gross.
Yeah. Everything is at the very least damp, and a lot of things are soaked.
Fair enough.
So probably going to look around for somebody who's got a barn or something that we can just kind of like spend an evening or so in. I can maybe set up like a stand out in front of, but I just want a roof so bad, so very bad.
I doesn't like the rain, Peter.
And the funny thing is too is like Archibald is a walrus. He's aquatic, and he's still like, I'm
just
wet.
not having it.
Yeah.
Bria looks uncomfortable, and it's got nothing to do with the rain. A look of bad memories.
Okay. Well, the road down into Cloudreach, because you're coming from a little bit up the hill. It's not, you're not exactly crossing the mountains, but you're following this raging flood of a river is not exactly right. Draining water, perhaps. The road is not in good condition, but you do see every now and again a step, a patch, a little reminder that once upon a time, there was a good paved road here. It's just faded away, been washed over, buried, apparently not even really remembered, and perhaps borrowed for other projects. But the road is difficult, And maybe a little frustratingly so because you're right there. Like, shelter is right there, and why is there a giant mud puddle here now? So irritating.
I like the idea that like my pack beetle keeps stepping in puddles and like shaking its legs out and then steps in a different puddle with a different leg, and this just repeats ad nauseum as we're going along.
Same
Excellent.
puddle with 8 legs or 6 legs on each side.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least
Yeah, I
three.
managed to get
Yeah,
5
three
of
on
the
each
6
side,
legs
yeah.
in the puddle despite its best efforts.
Shakes 1 leg off, takes 2 steps forward, shakes 2 more legs off, takes 2 steps forward.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's midday-ish, at least, when you're here or arriving. It's raining, but folks are out and about. You can see people working in the fields. It is spring, right? It's just after till soil, but there's still plenty to do to, get later crops planted and pasture, taken care of, and animals started, all sorts of farm tasks, not just the planting, but everything that has to happen after to make everything successful, and not a little bit of water management. Who's the first person, or what's the first person you encounter doing? The first citizen of Cloudreach, I should say.
There is a frog here looking extremely in his element because, it's wet and he's amphibious. And he is standing out with a clipboard directing some workers on some kind of a project in one of the farms. As we approach, he kind of stops and smiles broadly like only a frog can and kind of comes over to greet us.
All right. Hello.
Yo,
Where are y'all from?
Oh, all over the place, really.
We come from Berryford most recently.
Oh, good ways north of here. Well, y'all, welcome to Cloudreach. Y'all passing through?
Yeah, hoping to find a place where we can bed down and get out of the rain for an evening if possible.
Sure. Wouldn't be a problem. Just talk to the mistress of the house and you should probably find a place.
All right, much obliged.
And he sort of turns and points. Oh, I'd say up that way, this side of the stream, thankfully. Looks at the three of you and it's like, can't swim. Can swim, but tough. Maybe you could walk across. Looks back. Go up to the door there and you should find something.
All right, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I like the frog voice.
If it comes up at some point, and it may not be necessary, but I have an idea in my head for a way to cross during the flooding to the uncrossable part from like a lore perspective.
Okay.
If we need it, that just dawned on me.
I mean, it absolutely. Yeah.
But we'll do the other thing. Yeah. We'll go to the house.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
Cool.
Bria will knock with her walking stick.
All right. The house itself is fairly wide. That's farmhouse is maybe a little bit of a misnomer. What you're really looking at is a farm complex, one central house, plenty of other little buildings around it, a few larger buildings where animals are kept, workspaces, that sort of thing, and the rest is more, workers' shacks, little storage sheds, whatever's been built out of necessity. But the main house is still pretty obvious. It's the center of all the activity on this farm. You don't have to go to the door. Somebody is out sharpening a farm tool kind of in the front yard and looks up it's a shrew woman with bright, sharp eyes and says, "Y'all new around here? Don't recognize
we
it?"
are.
It has been a long time.
Do you recognize this woman? You seem to be somewhat familiar with the place. Do you recognize her?
No, Bria looks when she says it, she looks in the direction of where the ruins are. It's a very specific part of the area for her.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Well, plenty of travelers come and go. Looking for shelter or work?
Shelter. Definitely shelter. My
Well,
umbrella has been leaking for 3 days and I am sick of it.
fun there. Right. Well, we can put you up for the night, no problem. Barn all right with you? We're the barn's empty for the moment, and it's about as dry as any, and there's a bit of leftover straw. They'll let you dry out at least.
Sounds lovely.
Thank you.
Very good, very good. You'll hear the dinner bell. Welcome to come. Always room at the table.
What's on tonight?
Oh, leftover roots, I believe, and some beans from last year. Cook's got a little bit of bacon in the beans tonight, which is exciting.
Ooh, very good. Looking forward to it.
Bacon here being some sort of equivalent insect, some sort of bug. We're not chopping up our neighbors here.
Like grasshopper backstrap or something. Okay.
Well, surprisingly, we didn't see any pigs here, so
No pigs.
not anymore.
That is an interesting point. We haven't talked about livestock very much. Is there much in the way of livestock?
I think I don't know what that voice was. I think what we originally talked about for session 0 was that livestock was almost exclusively insects.
Well, it is. I'm sorry. I mean, in Cloud Ridge
insects are
itself,
here,
does it have a lot of livestock around?
Oh, like specifically here.
Yeah, specifically here.
I would assume not too much.
Okay.
Actually, I want to throw something in. Probably not a whole lot that's being raised for food, but you'll see a lot of like beasts of burden and like stuff like beetles pulling plows and things
and moving the crops, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Six-legged
actual
oxen,
dung beetle,
basically.
actual dung beetles pushing big old balls of hay.
Right.
There you go. I like that.
Or rolling boulders out of the field.
Yeah. Digging them up with the what are the beetles with the horns?
Rhinoceros beetles?
Yeah, just like rhinoceros beetles or something used for plowing or whatever.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they can just push their head down.
Just push through it.
Go.
Yeah.
Just walk forward, basically.
Every once in a while, you like see one of those like stop and it's like flip a rock out of the field, and one of the dung beetles like rushes over and just like rolls it off into this big log pile someplace.
So you got a few folks handling those, and then plenty of folks doing planting.
So we skipped
early
over.
care.
We skipped over a question earlier, but I think we're tying something well to an answer to that question.
Okay.
Lore of the area.
And I skipped that.
Yeah.
You skipped it intentionally for time. Yeah.
Yeah. I skipped it for time.
But
we've kind of been building some of that now that I think would make sense with the area, because like the spirits of the area are beetles, and so are all the beasts of burden.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so much that the spirits are like the beasts of burden that have been here in the past, but they take that form as a reminder to the people of the area to treat their beasts of burden well, to maintain the land well.
And to rebuild the land from what used to be here.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Because there's a kind of beetle that's what they do, right? Is like beetles deal with decaying material.
A lot of them.
Typically, yeah.
A lot of bugs in general.
No, true. True.
Yep. Okay. I assume y'all are going to go straight to said barn.
Yes.
Get out of the wet for a few minutes at the very least.
Yeah. Okay. Archibald is like, going back and forth, like, busying himself every once in a while. He like walks out the door and just rings something out on the doorstep and then goes back inside.
Mm-hmm.
You're not even sure like what things it is after a while, but there sure is a lot of soggy stuff that needs ringing.
There's still somehow always one more thing.
Yeah.
All right. Once you've dried out, what next? It's midday.
Oh, I was going to say dinner.
You think it's going to take hours to dry everything out?
It's maybe just how Bria's mind works.
I mean, it's definitely going to take Archibald hours to dry everything out.
I mean, that's fair.
Pebble dries pretty fast.
Pebble does, sure. Does Pebble have a lot of things to
water
dry
resistant?
Yeah, like Archibald is not the thing that needs to dry out quickly. He's a walrus. That happens very fast. It's all of the stuff that's like.
No, Pebble doesn't have too many things, as it were.
Okay, that's fair. Trying to think here. Sorry. So
I was just making sure you weren't frozen.
No. Just thinking to myself, got a couple ideas. I'm just trying to decide if they're ones I want to run with. Let's say then that you do spend the next couple of hours drying out all of Archibald's stuff. I assume this involves stretching lines between parts of the barn and hanging things up to dry, wringing things out.
Taking the covers off of the cart or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that's ruined with all the rain?
Some produce probably.
Well, If ever there were a place to get some.
This is
Yeah.
true.
Also, if ever there were a place that would happily accept some compost.
Mm.
This is also true. What is
Oh, we have a good amount of that.
Peter? What is it may be on here somewhere. I'm just blanking. What is the Beatles' name? Does he have a name? I think he has a name.
I think we named him in the first session, and that was ages ago. So
Yeah, I don't remember what we named him.
Okay, we'll find it later. But Bria spends most of the time cleaning the beetle. Like doing whatever the equivalent of horse care for a beetle is.
probably a lot of chitin polishing and a lot of scraping mud out of
in between things.
In between joints.
Yeah.
Where it can build up, because those hard carapace joints don't love grit.
No. I imagine that would be very uncomfortable. And it's just
the beetle is probably excessively grateful and affectionate for this.
It's a dung beetle? Or no, yours isn't a dung beetle.
No, his is just a large carrying beetle, I believe.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I was thinking one of those ones with the iridescent kind of green and gold carapace, just big, just really freaking big.
Right.
But it's friendly. That's a definite. So
yeah, she mostly does that.
You're probably constantly getting nuzzled by the beetle as you clean the stuff out of its joints and stuff.
Lots of pats.
Yeah.
All right. Well, at any rate, this all continues until dinner time.
Thanks for listening to City on the Hill Gaming. If you'd like to know more, find us online at cityonthehillgaming.com or by sending us an email at cityonthehillgaming@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at cityonthehillgame or find us online at patreon.com/cityonthehillgaming. Thanks as always to our Patreon backers, Grizzly Rich, Bryan, Sir Lord Epic Name, Andrew, Christina, and Tony. We really thank you guys for everything you do to support the show, and we truly appreciate you. Thanks for listening, and have a blessed day. Grant, sound checky.
DAA is a beautiful tuning for the mountain dulcimer. This book contains 19 arrangements of traditional Irish, Welsh, French Canadian, Scottish, and American folk tunes and songs that are rich within their melodies, complemented by the DAA tuning. Although the DAA tuning results in predominantly linear movements of the fingers along the frets with jumps and runs along the melody or middle string, the richness of the DAA tuning more than compensates for extra finger movement. There's a bit more, but I think we get the point. I picked up a book on how to play a mountain dulcimer because, weirdly enough, when my parents went off to Portugal, I got a dulcimer out of it.
Recently?
It's a whole thing.
Okay, cool. That was an option when I was a kid.
No further questions.
I didn't follow it. No, that's fine. That's fine. I dig it. Sometimes you get a dulcimer. It happens.
I'm also learning the saxophone, but I'm not going to play that on the microphone because that's very loud and I'm really bad at it.
But saxophone. Okay. Peter.
Good evening. I thought I was going to have a scheduling conflict. I don't. Here I am, but you don't get a funny sound check from me.
It's Peter. And Greg.
What is this? The basic fantasy role-playing game is a rules-light game system rid with inspiration from early role-playing game systems. Is intended for those who are fans of old-school game mechanics. Basic fantasy RPG is simple enough for children and perhaps second or third grade to play, yet still has enough depth for adults as well.
And now I will do mine. And for my next however many sound checks, you will hear portions of a side project I'm working on, yet to be described in the future. This one is called Crossing of the First Scout, and is a bridge originally built by, I can't read my own handwriting. There it is. Rahina the Riftwalker. So we'll see if that actually comes up in the future at some point, but it's on a thing now. So I wrote it down. So that means it has to happen, I guess. I wrote down too many things if that's the case.